Hey guys, Bleach Nebula here. Today we're in Old Alabama Town here in Montgomery, and nice easy place to find. It's right downtown, right off the interstate, and we're going to be doing some more blacksmithing, but this time we're finally here at the shop that me and Wesley work at. So hang back for a minute, we're going to have some fun. Alright, you'll have to excuse the mess because they're in the process of repairing the roof in our shop. It rains more in here than it does outside half the time. But this is our shop. Oh, interesting fact. It's a European made anvil. It's listed in kilos instead of pounds. Alright. Right now I'm just getting a pot of Coke up and going. And for those that don't know, Coke is coal. They burned all the impurities out of it. This is just left over from the last time we were in here. There's a bit of it right here. It's real soft, real brittle. Just turns straight to powder. And lights up easier than coal. I mean, all we've done is we burned the sulfur and the oils and everything out of it. You don't want to work with green coal because all the gases and smoke that it puts off are toxic. I mean, this is too, but you see how very little there is. Just getting the pot heated up, and here in a minute, I'm gonna add some green coal to it, make the mound about 3 times that size, and coat that mound over. Got some fresh coal on over there. You can probably tell by all the smoke. And this is green coal. It's hard, as you can see. It still has all of the impurities in it. Very, very toxic impurities. But it's pretty much the only thing we can use that'll get as hot as we want, that's readily available. A lot of blacksmiths have gone to propane, but that's way out of my price range. I mean, way out. But, oh, yeah, that's something else. You'll notice that different from David's shop, I don't have an electric bellows. I have a crank bellows. It's a Champion 400. It's probably about 100 years old, give or take 10 years. But as you'll see, the green coal, yeah, it gets better. Just wait. You'll also notice the fan I have in the window is pulling, not pushing. I've got another fan at the back of the shop pushing this way, create a good cross draw. We used to just have the one, but the whole shop would smoke up. Another funny thing, when we first came to this shop, it's been so long since an active blacksmith had been working here, that the company next door, which ironically sells fire extinguishers, came over with a couple of them, thinking the shop was on fire. That's a smoke pit. Alright, we've got the fire kicking now, so it's going to create more flames than it is smoke. It's going to burn all of the impurities away. It's still smoking a little bit, the shop's still filled with smoke, so I always do this in a well-ventilated area. But as you can see, it's kicking a nice little flame out now. I opened up the front of the dome to that way it can push out more of the oxygen there and do more of the burning there, because I wanted to burn a hole in the center of it so that I can use that as my workspace. Now all the rest of the smoke that's coming out is going to do it slowly instead of rapidly. And it'll also burn instead of just smoke up everywhere. Alright, I think what we're going to do today is, I've had a lot of people talk about going over the basics, pretty much just showing the process, what we're doing when we're making a project instead of just fast forwarding all the way through it. So what we're going to do is we're pretty much going to go back to the beginning, and we're going to go over things like you're one of my apprentices. Apprentices? I don't know. But so what we're gonna do is my apprentice and friend Wesley is here, and we're gonna go over some of the basics. Now Wesley already knows these, but it's a good thing to practice. I mean, hammer control is #1 when it comes to blacksmithing. So you have to know how to hold the hammer in a certain way so that it doesn't cut from one side to the other, or you work the steel unevenly, because half of blacksmithing work is what's called working on the square. A lot of times when we're stretching something out, we make it square, and then we hammer side, squish it down, rotate it, hammer another side, squish it down, rotate it, and what that does is it thins the steel out and stretches it out slowly. But if you do it wrong, you end up with a shape you really don't want, and you end up having to chase the steel. Like, you end up with it, like, instead of on the square like this on a 90, it'll come in. Alright, that was a billow backflash. What it was is some of the gases worked its way into our crank billows and backflashed. Whew, caught me off guard there. But anyway, if you end up having to chase the steel, a lot of times you end up with a section that's thinner than others. So it's good practice to go through and do it over and over and over. So I've got a piece of steel on the fire right now. I'm gonna cut it off from a failed project from before, and we're gonna come back here in just a second, and we're gonna be taking a piece of round stock, turning it into square stock, and going over stretching it. So we'll be right back as soon as I make sure that the billows is okay. God, it is hot in here. So Wesley over here, hi. He's going to be working on just stretching out a piece of round stock, and we're going to go over the process. So here's the steel. Alright, and what Wesley's doing, you see how he's hammering all the way down one side. Wesley forgot a very important rule: never blacksmith in shorts. You'll see that it's square down on the end now, whereas it was round stock. And what that's doing is every time he hammers down a section and it flattens out, the steel stretches a little bit. Now, you can take a railroad spike and stretch that joker out 5-6 feet. It's going to start off about yay big. There we go, get to where you can see it. Now, stretching it out, 4 feet, it's going to be about that big around. I mean, it's going to be minuscule, but it's completely possible. Especially if you have like a press or something like that, but we don't have that here. Now, some of you are probably going to ask why Wesley just put water on the fire, and what that does is creates an insulatory layer around the cherry, and the better the insulation, the hotter we can get the steel, and more controlled we can work on the fire. See? It's all nice and square now. Now, one thing I did notice, and it's going to be hard for y'all to see, but there's a stress fracture in the steel. So I won't really be able to make anything out of this piece. If you look, it's right there. Try not to get my finger too close and cook it. But yeah, there's a stress fracture right here, so we can't really make anything out of this piece. So we're just going to use it for demonstration purposes. Tell you what, I'm going to show y'all how we make a bend. We'll be back in a minute. Alright, say we were going to make a hook or an S-hook or some sort of hanger. We would take the steel, and after putting a point on the end, which I can do right quick, that'll take but a second. And we would take it over to the horn over here, and there's a couple of different methods to this. You can either start at the very tip and just work it, and just cool pretty hook right there. I think that's the first time I've ever had one turn out that pretty by doing it through that method. But a couple little finishing taps. That's nice and pretty. Alright, we straighten that hook out. So now what we're going to do, get some of that scale off of there. Here's another method to making a hook. You just lay it down on the anvil and you hold it nice and still. And you work it around the anvil. Had that one a little too far down. You just work it around the horn. A couple finishing hits, get it nice and even. Boom. And see, the horn has different shapes to us. More flat on the top and more rounded on the bottom. So you can hold it on the bottom and get a more rounded hook out of it. Or you can hold it off the top and have a flat spot in the belly. Just depends on what you're wanting to do. I can take the tip and curl it one way. And then I can take the shaft curl it the other way. And you end up with a completely different style. Alright, we're going to take the steel, we're going to put it in our vise right here. Right there. We're going to take it put a little twist to it. How does that look? That's what I love about this. You can pretty much do whatever you want. So cut it off. Just going to work it on the edge of the anvil. Get a sharp side and round side. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the end of the steel right here and stretch it out a little bit and draw it to a point. And I'll show you why here in a minute. We took the steel and we stretched it out a little bit more after cutting it and put a 90-degree turn up at the end. Essentially what we're doing is we're bending the steel back over on itself. So we did a 90, and now we're going to come all the way back around. Alright, I got everything cleaned up. That's why sometimes it's best to go back to the basics. I've been doing this for 10 years now, actually closer to 11, and I've probably made hundreds of these. And I mean, I think I made one 3 or 4 months ago, but sometimes you forget things. That's why it's good to go back and do the old stuff again and relearn and practice. But here's the finished product. This is what's known as a J-hook, and I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. You hammer it into the wall and you can hang stuff on the hook. These were real popular up until probably 40 years ago, and but some people still like to use them. So what we've started doing pretty much, we've made a lot of S hooks, a lot of J hooks, but it's always good to have more tools. So since I can't sell this one because of that stress hook, but I don't want to waste steel, so I'm going to use it. Just going to put it right here. extra spot to hang some tools. But I think that's going to be it for this. Hopefully it'll start cooling down a little bit. It's really hot in here, especially over next to that fire, which Wesley is in the process of putting out. You never want to dump water on this. I mean, I know you've probably seen me drizzle water on it, but you never want to just dump water on there. One, the rock will explode. Two, the sudden steam explosion will send red hot pieces of coal at you. And I've had that happen before. It's not fun. But anyway, we're just about finished up here, and the reason we had to cut that one piece out where I did the first 90, a buddy of mine called and has a flat tire, so we got to go save him. But anyway, it's been a lot of fun. I've had a blast doing this. I hope maybe y'all learned something, and we'll be doing it again here soon. Later.